Nope. Hello. There we are. Sorry. Mic was muted. Hopefully you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. Yeah, so today's stream is just gonna kind of be me chilling and chatting because I haven't streamed in about 3 weeks. It's been a little while. I streamed like a couple days back to back playing Hogwarts Legacy, just with family and all sorts of different things going on. It was a lot easier to just not have to worry about streaming. I have been doing videos, but altogether my channel on YouTube has just kind of been a little confused on my audience, so I figured it was probably best to not stream for a minute to try to reset it. I think the problem kind of was building a channel around Harry Potter, also talking about just books in general, because I did Dungeon Crawler Carl, I was talking about Percy Jackson, all the while I was streaming Hogwarts Legacy, which is a video game, so it kind of just confused my YouTube channel. So we're trying to, go back to basics, kind of figure out what we're doing. So there's gonna be changes throughout the next couple months. I mean, once any Harry Potter news that comes out for the HBO show, we're going to talk about it because that's one of the things we talk about. We talk about Harry Potter releases. So we will be talking about Harry Potter. That's basic. But I'm trying a new series, 2 new series really. I'm doing my podcast. So if you watch the channel, watch videos regularly on the channel, occasionally when I don't really have anything going on, like I don't really have any ideas planned or I have a busy week, I'll do what I call lightning struck pages, where I take a random page from a random Harry Potter book and just talk about it, which to me is fun. Things can get a little off topic and that's just how it goes. But will I'm rebooting that as an actual podcast that will not just be on the YouTube channel but also be on multiple podcast services. I'm still working on the logistics of that. It will probably start in September, where another series that I'm starting is I'm going through the Stephen Fry and Jim Dale audiobooks as well as the full cast and just reviewing and comparing them to each other. I'm going to review and rate. I set up a rating system. The first video should be out probably next week. But I'm going to listen to the audiobook, make a video talking about it, rating it. I got a rating system, which the rating system I will build upon on doing other audiobooks. So I figured I'd start with Harry Potter, kind of build a rapport, go through it over the next couple months, weeks leading up to the TV show, and just do one video a week on top of the podcast. The podcast will be audio only for the foreseeable future, but if you are a member, you will have access to it as a video podcast. So I will have a video. It'll be a little bit crunchy than normal. It won't really be much different than what it normally is. It'll probably just, have a lot more cuts in it. But it will be the same thing as the audio podcast, but with just my face. But it'll be available for members for right now. That's really kind of one of the best things I can do at the moment. Once the TV series comes out, I'll probably post things as quickly as possible for members, and then a couple hours later have it available for everyone. Just because for purposes of, algorithm wise, if I wait too long, it may be just a dead video to begin with. And yeah, YouTube kind of hates me right now. I mean, it's not even YouTube hates me. I think it's just I did a couple really long streams playing a video game. So things talking about books aren't going to the people who care about the video game. So nobody's really watching my book discussion stuff. So I'm trying to kind of reset it. I'm not going to be playing Hogwarts Legacy. It's just going to kind of be chilling here, having conversations with anybody who wants to jump on the stream, just a chatting stream. Apparently my stream, though, it says it's doing good, but it's still showing. Ah, there we go. Cool. Yeah. I am open to any and all input into ideas of things that you guys are interested on with this channel. If you're like, hey, I'm really kind of wanting to, you know, hear about this kind of stuff, or these are audiobooks that I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on, let me know. That's kind of what this is. It's an open forum, basically, just to try to figure out what people are looking for in this channel. Like, are you just purely looking for me to do news, even if it's like the smallest tidbit of news that we can maybe get, even if it's rumors, like, hey, look, here's something that they released in the idea. Do you want just the HBO series to be talked about, or do you want me to talk about like the fact that they're having more showings of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer/Philosopher's Stone in theaters for the 25th anniversary? So it's little things like that I'm looking for. I do this for me, like things that I enjoy, I want to talk about, but I also want you guys to enjoy the stuff that I talk about. So, you know, let me know on anything you're interested. Chat's available. Jump in. I'm looking at it. But let's talk about the fact that Harry Potter's birthday has come and gone, and we did not get any information for the HBO series. Like I've been saying, I think HBO put a little bit of money into the official Harry Potter movie rewatch podcast that I don't think is doing very well. And I think they're trying to keep the movies alive until they have to kill them, which will be September 1st. I think we're not going to get any news in the next month, which kind of stinks. Um, and I put out a video talking about everything that we're probably going to see on September 1st with the Back to Hogwarts showcase. It's going to probably be 6 a.m. then it happens, because it's 11 a.m. BST. So that'll be fun. I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to try to live stream it. My quality of camera and all that may not be the best, but I will be watching it. And if we get a trailer, I will try my hardest to get a video out as quickly as possible when I get home from my trip. So, yeah, that's really kind of all I wanted to do, and just sit here and have chats about, Harry Potter in general. Like I said, I will be restarting my podcast, Lightning Struck Pages. There is a YouTube channel called Lightning Struck Pages that is mine, but it's gonna probably just be a dead channel. So it'll be posted on Marvel. It'll be posted on Marvelous Marauders. I'll see if I can just post it on there as well. I'm not sure. YouTube sometimes doesn't like double posting, so we'll see. Plus I want it posted on the channel that I'm monetized on, so that if you do watch it and you do have ads, that the ads will support me rather than support YouTube. But, you know, if you're going to give your time, I'd rather you at least support what you like rather than just Google. Anyway, enough about money. I don't really like talking about money. But unfortunately, if this is going to be a career, you got to sell yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, it's been a dead summer for Harry Potter news, which has been quite unfortunate. A lot of the releases aren't coming out until October, and that'll tide us over until December/January. Plus, then you have the holidays, which is going to be really kind of weird. But the HBO series should be getting a trailer in less than a month. And if they don't put out a trailer that time, it's going to be a missed opportunity. But clearly, the Harry Potter social media PR stuff is kind of in a weird situation because they're trying to keep people involved in the movies. Like, the Harry Potter YouTube channel was dead for like a couple weeks leading up to the original trailer drop, like the teaser for the TV series. And then since then, they have just been putting so many like live streams of just clip shows, which is weird. I subscribe to the Harry Potter YouTube channel, and it's every day they have a live stream of just random cuts of the movie, and it runs for about an hour and a half, and then it just repeats. And it's a 24-hour stream of just clips of the show or of the movie. And it's like, at this point, just put the whole movie on. Like, it's not like it's copywritten where you can't do it. It's on every channel at least once a week. Like, there's always a channel doing a Harry Potter marathon. And maybe that's why they can't do it. Is, hey, we can't do a Harry Potter marathon, like a 24/7 Harry Potter marathon on YouTube because, you know, it competes with, you know, I think I've seen it on like Lifetime. They had a Harry Potter marathon. You always have Freeform that does a Harry Potter marathon for us older people. That was ABC Family. It is now called Freeform. I think I've even seen it on Comedy Central. Like, anytime I go on vacation, I know without a doubt I will probably find a channel that will have a Harry Potter marathon. Maybe it's just an Orlando thing. I don't have live television in normal life. I only have live television when I'm sleeping in a hotel. And that's really only when I forget to bring my Apple TV, plug into the TV, or I can't get it plugged into the TV and work. So I have to watch their streaming provided streaming services and or just live TV. Uh the All-Star Sports Hotel, I plugged in my Apple TV, and that TV in that hotel hated the fact that I tried to bypass it and would not let me turn down the volume. So, yeah. Um I was scrolling through the Harry Potter website. There's really not much news going on. They do have a ton of Harry Potter birthday, and one of the things that bothers the crap out of me is the fact that they make Hagrid look like an idiot and have it spelled Happee Birthdae. And it's like, I'm pretty sure Hagrid knows how to spell happy birthday. Like, I understand you're trying to make him seem like a bumbling oaf in the movie, but, why do we gotta make him seem dumb? Just because he's a bumbling oaf doesn't mean he's an idiot. I don't know. It's just a little pet peeve of mine that he spelled happy birthday wrong, when in the books we see him write constantly and his spelling is not atrocious. So, I don't know. I think it was just supposed to make sure that, like, oh, look, he's a harmless half giant. He can't even spell. But, you know. And I know there's always J.K. Rowling controversies, and I'm not sure if my channel is suffering because of things going on that front, because it is kind of around the same time my channel started to stagnate and not get a lot of views, around the same time that people have boycotted J.K. Rowling and all of her stuff. I really don't want to, like, I understand the point of the boycott, that she does not treat members of the trans community right. And I understand her side of the story of, protecting just gender equality in her eyes. Like, but we should treat all people equally. And in this community of the Marvelous Marauders, I'm not expecting you to spend a cent towards anything Harry Potter. But if you are boycotting Harry Potter, but still want to, interact with a safe community that likes Harry Potter, this is the place for you. If you are, you know, need to find a safe place, this is a safe place. And if anybody comes in and makes inappropriate comments towards any sort of marginalized community, yeah, I'm going to get rid of them, because I want this to be a safe place where people can talk not just about Harry Potter. Of course, like, I want just a nerd community that anybody of any race, gender, sexuality, heritage, like, I don't care who you are. If you need a safe place, my door is always open. And you are always welcome to have a conversation with me. And that's kind of what this whole idea is of, I wanted to make videos on things that I like. And that's what I do. I like theme parks, I like books, and I like TV shows. I watched Spider-Man today. It was a fantastic movie. I watched Hadestown last week. I watched The Odyssey the week before. I just like entertainment in general, and I think people who bully other people, why? I'm tired of bullies. Everybody's bullying everybody, and it's a mess. But we're here to talk about Harry Potter, and I'm sure me talking about a welcome community is something that some people won't like, which doesn't make any sense. It's, hey, how dare let's treat everybody nicely be a horrible thing. But yeah, I finished my second reread of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I have thoughts on it, but, my DCC stuff didn't do well with apparently only Harry Potter fans. But if you are a Harry Potter fan, if you're watching this and you haven't read Dungeon Crawler Carl, you really should. It's good. it's it seems like something that I have seen people go, "Well, this is very right-leaning." It's like, well, clearly you read the first page because you get 3 pages in and you're like, "Oh, no, this is not right-leaning at all. This is very much anti-capitalism and establishment." But that's what I like about it. It's when I talked about the book the first time when I did a review of the first book, having not read the rest of the series, well, there were 2 books that I said it really reminded me of. It reminded me of Hunger Games, and it reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And the further you got into the story, it really kind of stayed with that whole idea, like the if we burn, you burn with us. And also just the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy being completely asinine and just all of the weird stuff that goes on in that series. Like, I've listened through it, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, twice, and it's just so off the rails. But at no point am I like, "I- I'm done with this." The only time that I kind of got over it was the edition that I think Douglas Adams wrote it. It wasn't a Douglas Adams, like, it was a sequel to the series that Douglas Adams did not write. And I think it was Neil Gaiman wrote it. I'm not really sure. I have it. It just wasn't written the same way, and it wasn't my favorite thing. And it was kind of like a weird sequel, but like, hey, we're gonna try to keep this going and reboot the series and maybe have more books, and it didn't work. So, but that's not about Harry Potter, and I promised us to talk about Harry Potter. So I'm reading through the Jim Dale version of the audiobooks, and I've done a video talking about it and how I feel about it. I do like it. Jim Dale was the one that I listened to. But I was also like, things that I've talked about it with it is there's weird like vocal stems that I get from it. Like Seamus, I talked about in the video and it'll come out next week, is Seamus Finnegan asking about Nearly Headless Nick being nearly headless. He goes, "Nearly headless? How can it be nearly headless?" And it's just the enunciation on the nearly headless. It's weird. I don't know if he just couldn't figure out how to do an Irish accent for Seamus Finnegan or what, but it's like almost like Seamus Finnegan was about to poop his pants while doing it. But listening through the book, it makes me laugh about some of the weird things that they picked up from the book to put in the movie. Because at the time when they wrote the movie, there were only 3 books. Like, while they were recording, like, filming the movie, the 4th book came out. So at the time, we only had Philosopher's Chambers and Prisoner of Azkaban. And you can tell that the movie picked up on weird little tropes that just, you know, didn't actually continue through the series. Like the whole Seamus Finnegan blows everything up kind of thing. Yeah, it was funny, but in the book, all he does is pushes his wand against the feather and kind of just burns it a little bit. He doesn't blow it up. He just kind of, it's like the old car cigarette lighters. You take that out and you put it against a piece of paper. It doesn't light the paper on fire. Sometimes it will, but it'll just be hot enough that it kind of burns it a little bit. Um random girl 13B. I'm a Harry Potter fan. I read the first maybe chapter of Dungeon Crawler Carl, but my mom didn't want me to read it. Then I just never found it again, but my brother-in-law read it. I mean, it depends on how old you are. Like, if your mom's telling you what you can and can't read, because I get it. Dungeon Crawler Carl is definitely a more adult. I wouldn't say it's adult, but also at the same time, it has adult language and very gratuitous violence. Like, it's not a sexy book whatsoever. It's not like romantasy, like Fourth Wing. Like, I would probably tell someone not to read Fourth Wing before I would tell them not to read Dungeon Crawler Carl. But the strong language is something that kind of would turn a lot of people away. I know I have some family members who just the phrase "God damn it, donut" would turn them away just because they don't like the phrase "God damn it." So the fact that Carl is constantly yelling "God damn it, donut" would turn some people away. I get it. Um, but yeah, and I don't know. But yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl, good book series. If you have a chance to read it, I think it's good. I think the message in the book series is good. The language is a little bit strong, but the story and the message within the book is about just, you know, the best way to explain what the book is really about. It's probably the cover of The Parade of Horribles, which is the latest book. Unity, support, family, and kneecap and bitches. Really kind of works. And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about the books, the hardcover books, or just, well, yeah, the hardcover books, because the paperbacks do not have dust jackets to cover it up, is the fact that it has those in there. So I also like having books on my bookshelf to grab as pieces of my set. I got a new Funko Pop the other day, which is fun. It is Sonic the Hedgehog as the Flash. Uh, I have a collection of Flash Funko Pops. And it was just something that I ran across and I had to add it to my collection. And one of the fun things about my Flash Funkos is I have a smaller collection of Flash Funkos that are from other um fandoms that are dressed as Flash. I have Conan O'Brien dressed as the Ezra Miller Flash. I have Starfire dressed as Flash. I have Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory dressed as the Flash. I have Sonic the Hedgehog dressed as Flash. I have Domo as the Flash. I'm not really sure who Domo is, but it was a Flash, so I had to have it. Um, and then I also have Tasmanian Devil as Flash. But and then I have a whole bunch of different other Flashes. I have a Gingerbread Flash. I have a Dias de Muerta Flash. Um, I have all of the variations of the Flash from the CW show, and that's including Reverse Flashes. I have a Blue Lantern Flash. I have 34 different Flash Funko Pops. I was counting. But yeah, I have a lot of Flash Funkos. But that's not even my biggest Funko collection. My largest Funko collection is of my Pokemon Funko Pops, which I do have one of every version of the Pokemon. I do not have the large ones, which are mostly just the legendary Pokemon. I don't have the space to hold all of those giant boxes. The smaller boxes are easy to store. The larger boxes, I do have the 3 Kanto starters and Eevee in the large boxes, and then I have a giant Niffler and a giant Hedwig. And those are my like 5 giant ones that I have, but everything else is the small ones. I would collect the legendary ones, but like I said, there's just not a place to put them. Like I know they have Arceus. I think they just released like Kyogre and Groudon. I think they have the 3 Swords of Justice. I know they have Cresselia. I think they have a Darkrai. But those are just ones that I've not really been interested in collecting just because they're so big. Um, but yeah, I have 5 different shelves of Pokemon Funkos, and they are all full. And I need more space. I had to get rid of yeah, I had an Avengers Shawarma Scene bobblehead set, which I do have over here out of sight, but I had to move that off the shelf because I needed to make another shelf for the Pokemon Funkos. Because I ended up moving my Doctor Who Funkos from one shelf to another and added a new shelf. So, yeah, I got a lot of Funko Pops, and this is only like half of our collection. I have a ton that are just packed away in boxes that we used to have out, but we just don't have the space. I need more bookshelves. I got a whole wall on the other side of the camera, which could hold bookshelves, but they don't. So I got a piano over there, at least right now. So the next big Harry Potter release is going to be the fully illustrated Half-Blood Prince, which I am excited about. I'm really sad that it's taking so long for them to get these books finished. See, I just talked about that. I don't agree with her views and her anti-trans policies because, let people be who they want to be. And I understand the idea of what she's trying to do, but the legislation that she's trying to pass doesn't match up with what she says. It's if you just kind of lightly pay attention to what she says, yeah, I can understand where people are like, yeah, she's just trying to protect little girls, but if you look at the legislation that she's putting money behind, it muddies the water a lot. I understand why people boycott it, but I feel like we need to create a community for people who, want to talk about Harry Potter but don't want to support her, because there are plenty of ways that you can be a part of the Harry Potter community without having to support J.K. Rowling. Like, you can always buy used books, you can always buy used movies, and physical media is what helps that. That's the problem with like society nowadays, is everything is so intertwined. If you boycott everything, you're going to have to just live off the grid because in some way something is connected. And I know that is a horrible excuse to make about like, oh, well, this is why I just don't boycott things because everything's intertwined. But think about it. If you go to a Universal Park, even though say you don't like Harry Potter, um, this is a genuinely great answer. You are very cool. I appreciate it. Thanks. I mean, I I have trans friends, I have gay friends, I have straight friends who are, you know, have problems with those things. Am I really friends with those people? Not so much. I just have to work with them. So I am friends with them in the idea that I have to work with them, so I have to be cordial to a point. But if they start spouting hate, I walk away. Like, to me, I 100% believe you can't be, you got to stop being hateful. Like that's my biggest thing is why be hateful to other people. I mean, the thing that boggles my mind is the fact that J.K. Rowling wrote a book about, hey, look, love will conquer all. What's up, T? How you doing? It's been a while. Um, Rowling wrote a series of books about how love is the key and that a life without love is a life not worth living, but then has become a more hateful person in some way that I was reading I think it's in the Wizarding Archives. There is a note from J.K. Rowling in there that she wrote when she first opened the Pottermore website. So early 2010s, like just at the peak of popularity, where she could have just stepped away and never put her like persona out to the public ever again. But peak Harry Potter popularity, and she talked about how she just wants everybody to feel accepted. And it's just like, how is this the same person that she is now? And the joke is the black mold, because there was black mold in her house and it somehow made her hateful. But it's one of those things, and I know people start nitpicking, like, oh, well, the stereotypes within, like, one of the things, Seamus Finnegan. The movies added the Irish stereotype of, oh, he's Irish. They blow things up. You get it? Which is not in the books. The stereotype of Seamus being Irish and blowing things up is not in the books. Pretty tired, but I feel better seeing that you're streaming. Yeah, and we're just chatting. I'm trying to reset like the whole YouTube algorithm because I was, I guess, diversifying too far with playing video games and talking about not Harry Potter. So then all my Harry Potter stuff just kind of went nowhere. My views have been nothing basically. I think I've maybe getting 200. If I get 200, I'm lucky. So I'm just trying to kind of reset. It's really nice to hear these sentiments. You just popped up on my homepage randomly, but I'm definitely going to check out your stuff. Just started Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I see you're a fan. Yeah. Um, I've read through the whole series twice, and by read, I mean listen to, because there's no difference between audiobooks and real books. It just depends on who you are as a person and if you're an auditory or visual learner. I am an auditory learner because I have a vision disability. I am technically legally blind according to stuff, but I can see fine, but not fine, you know. It's easier for me to listen than to read. I can read. I am literate. Unlike 25% of the United States. But yeah, no, I just don't like bullies. Like, to quote Captain America, I don't like bullies. It's a good sentiment to have, like, you know. I mean, I think even Carl in Dungeon Crawler Carl, he even says, I don't like bullies. Because he was bullied by his dad. I relate more to Carl because we both have daddy issues, but yeah, Jeff Hayes is a treasure, and I'm excited to see him play Donut in the live action TV series when that comes out in like 2 years. Um, but yeah, I think audio, I'm so happy. Like, I know people hate Amazon and want to boycott it and Audible's stealing money. $15 a month for an audiobook is a fantastic deal when I remember paying $60 for a Deathly Hallows CD box set. And I understand the difference is hard media versus digital media. And I had those discs. But, you know, yo ho, yo ho, a pirate's life for me. I used to be broke and I pirated all my stuff. But recently, as an adult, and by recently, I mean the past like 10 years, I have bought everything that I have ever pirated. Do I still have everything that I've ever pirated? That is for me to know and no one else to find out ever because I paid for all that stuff genuinely. J.K. Rowling has an issue. It's hard because her issue hurts people. I try to be forgiving to people, J.K. Rowling included. I think she'll come along eventually. Amazon can absolutely afford to pay authors better. They have all the money in the world. Yeah, I I agree with all that. Hopefully J.K. Rowling sees the errors of her ways, or she dies. One of the two things, because one of the whole ideas of the separate the artist from the art is most of the time we find out that some of these authors or artists in general are horrible people after they have died. And so it's like, okay, well, I've been listening to this. The money's not going to them anymore. There's actually a joke in Dungeon Crawler Carl that I caught, but we'll talk about what we're talking about and I'll go back to that. And yes, Amazon is undercutting authors, being that they're like, hey, look, we can sell books, but you're throwing Barnes and Noble, which is one of the few brick and mortar bookstores that is prevalent. In my area, we've got Barnes and Noble, Second and Charles, which is more of a used bookstore than it is a new bookstore. They do have new books, but mostly used. And Books A Million, which I'm pretty sure Books A Million and Second and Charles are owned by the same company because they do have a lot of the same products, but Second and Charles is, like I said, more focused towards the used market, which is a good thing if you don't want to support certain authors. Like if you want to read their stuff without supporting them, Second and Charles and other used bookstores are a great way for you to be able to buy pieces of media without supporting the artist you don't want. If you do want to support the artist, make sure to buy their stuff new because it'll go to them. And that's part of the reason why I think media companies are trying to completely kill the physical market so they can kill the secondhand market, and then they have complete control of all profits. Like, that's the problem. Like, the difference between Nintendo and PlayStation just completely getting rid of all physical media, but Nintendo having the game key cards is, yes, the game key card still, it's like, hey, it's a digital license that, if we decide to pull, you can't download it and this card's worthless. But the thing is if I want to sell that game key card to a buddy, he can still use that game key card, but a digital product on the PlayStation Store is mine and mine forever, and I can't get rid of it. Not that I've ever gotten rid of a game. I have every game that I've ever purchased, and I refuse to get rid of them. I don't know. I always like going back sometimes and playing old games, and the thought of if I sell this or get rid of it, I won't be able to play this again stresses me out. Like, I don't play any of my old Pokemon games on cartridge. I have the ROM files and play them digitally on my phone or on the computer, but I do own the cartridges. I could sell those cartridges and I could make a lot of money because I have the boxes for Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. I have the cases and I have the games. And just having the cases with the games adds like another $100 value for whatever reason to the used market of the games. So to be able to, if I wanted to, I could sell those and make a good $1,000 easily, but I'm not going to because I want to have them. And I understand that's part of the reason why people want physical media is they want it in case they have to play it. So I get it. I also figured out I need to get my old iPod out and, download my iTunes library so I can take it off of the iPod because there's a way to take music that you pull from iTunes onto an iPod and take it off there. Can't do it on an iPhone. And that's part of the reason why Apple really pushed their music streaming service. And I'm sure the amount of music that I listen to, I could probably buy those albums and save a ton of money. But I like to just spontaneously be like, I want to listen to this artist. I probably would not have discovered as many different artists and would still be listening to the same stuff that I was listening to in high school if it weren't for Apple Music, because I can just search and find a song. Oh yeah, I want to listen to this. I'll listen to it and I'm happy. Got to go to sleep because it's super late in the UK, but hopefully I will see you around. Good night. Good night, friend. Um I will probably stream one more time this month. I do try to do it every other week. Last month was a really weird month. But if I do not stream again this month, I will be streaming September 1st at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 11 a.m. for you. So have a good night. But yeah, we're completely off topic, but it was expected. I'm just gonna sit here and talk. That's kind of what this whole idea, but I figured talking Potter. Let's talk Potter and we'll talk about things. Um I'm I'm gonna go back and talk about some of the things that I was talking about before now that we do have some people like listening to the thing. I have more viewers, I guess. Uh I am rebooting my podcast. If you've watched some of my videos, if you guys are subscribers and watch every video or some of the videos I have released a channel. What's up, Cyber Lucy? We can only happen. I assume. Gotcha. We can only hope is what you were probably trying to say. Given who she hangs out with, it's hard to know. Yeah. Um, I'm. If you've been part of this channel for a little while, I've done a few videos called Lightning Struck Pages where I take a random page from a random Harry Potter book and I just kind of talk about it, just word vomit about that page and just kind of go wherever my mind takes me when it comes to that book for about 20 minutes. Um yeah, I figured that out. Once I figured out what you were what you were adding at, then I understood what you were trying to say. Um But I am rebooting that as a podcast. It will be an audio only podcast on all podcast platforms that I can figure out and try to get on. Um, I really got to work on that. It's been a busy month, guys. Um, health, family health issues, and just work schedules being wonky and all that. But this month is a quiet month. No holidays, no family health issues. It'll be laid back, hopefully back to the normal schedule. But in September, I'll probably start posting. I have an episode 0 ready to post. And I think one episode, I'll get a couple more episodes going. Probably the first day will be episode 0 plus 3 episodes. And then after that, weekly, it'll be just one episode on Thursdays or Fridays. It'll be audio only on any podcast service that you listen to podcasts on, probably, unless you listen to some like weird, like NPR secret hidden podcast site that I don't know about. But the major ones, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, like at least those three for sure, it will be on there. Um, there will be a video version, which will only be available for YouTube members. And maybe subscribers on like other platforms. I don't know how it's done on other platforms. Still learning. That's why I'm waiting till September for it. But I take a random page from a random book. So they're all first edition printings. They're not first printings. They're just the first edition printing. So most of the changes will be in there. This is from, let's see. You know, I know how to find the printings for the books. I just gotta be on the right page. Yeah, this is a fourth run printing from 1999. So yeah, but it's the first edition writing, because I know there are some books that, which I think I may have. I think it's. I think it's my 5th book. Let's see. Nope, this is a first edition printing as well. I don't think it was any of my books. But I know there are some printings of the Harry Potter books, like the newer ones, that have not dialogue changes, but the words in the book are completely different. Like a sentence is completely changed, which doesn't change the context, but it's just, I think it's a re-edited to work better with the entire story and work smoother. But if you read the Jim Dale version, is it randomly picking any book or from any of the Harry Potter books? It's any Harry Potter book. So of the 7, I originally wrote a program using Java, but it was literally, I had to tell it to run and it wasn't nice, but I figured out how to do it in Excel, and basically I just made a spreadsheet that gave me an unlimited amount of page numbers. And yeah, that's what I have. I literally have on a Word doc now. I picked the first 52 and I went through and copied all of the text from those pages. So they're already picked out and ready to go. I designed an app using Swift, but unfortunately Apple says no, it doesn't have. I needed to actually make like a whole app. It couldn't just be you open it up and you push a button and it gives you a random page, because that's what I had. It was literally you push a button, it gave you the picture of the book with a random page number, but Apple didn't like it. It said I had to have a splash screen, and then another, like, I had to have, like, 3 pages to pick, like, to go through, so it didn't like it. So I was like, "Okay, well, I am not that good at making an app," and I was just happy with myself to have figured out how to make that, where there was a button that I could press and it randomly generated a Harry Potter book with a page. If Lightning Struck Pages takes off well enough, I already have, like, because the program's already written, all I have to do is punch in, you know, how many books to choose from and how many pages each book is. So I could easily punch in a different book series, Dungeon Crawler Carl, Lord of the Rings, Percy Jackson, like, just put in that series and it'll generate me what I need. And I will, like I said, I'll drop an episode 0. That will be a video podcast. Um, but it will also be, from that point, only video podcasts for members. So you as a member would be able to watch it on the member page, but non-members can only listen to it. Uh Montessor Farquil? 850? Is that how you pronounce it? Montessor Farquil? But what's up? Or are you saying WhatsApp? Am I real? Are you real? Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing the podcast. That's going to start in September, probably first week of September. Uh cool. Um and I'm just going to call you Monty. It's a lot easier to pronounce. That's why I call TT. But I'm also reviewing all 3 audiobook series. So the Jim Dale version, the Stephen Fry version, and the full cast version. I built a rating system for it. So on a on a scale of 1 to 10 on the story, which will not be, I explain it in the video, will not be a part of this series just because the story doesn't matter. We're reviewing how the story is read by 3 different audiobooks because it's the same story. So we're not judging the story because it's going to be the same number all the way across. But the voices out of 10, the narration out of 10, because yes, Stephen Fry and Jim Dale are doing both the narration and the voices, but they are also, you know, some voices are better than others. The narration can be read differently. So those are both out of 10. And then there's bonus points. If it can be listened to at ×2 speed, you know, it's going to get half a point more because, you know, full cast audiobooks with music and sound effects doesn't sound good sped up. But just voices sounds good sped up. So, you know, you get an extra point for being able to listen to it faster. If it has music and sound effects, that is also a plus because, you know, the uh Dungeon Crawler Carl series, it doesn't have music per se, sometimes it does, but it does have sound effects or changes to the voice that are more electronic than just I'm doing a different voice, which does add to the series a little bit better. It kind of makes you feel more immersed. So, you know, you get half a point for that. And If it's word for word from the book, you get half a point, because that's one complaint that I saw a lot of people about the full cast audiobooks. They didn't like that it took out the Harry says, Hermione said, Ron ejaculated. Just got the Prisoner of Azkaban full cast download the other day. Gonna listen to it tonight. Prisoner of Azkaban is probably one of my favorite out of the audiobooks. I put a rating online. It's up, one of the YouTube channels. But I did like the Prisoner of Azkaban full cast. Just, it was a lot of fun. The younger actors, it's their last book in there, and you could tell that they had grown in their skill from the first one. The first one's a little bit awkward, but by the time you get to the third one, they're hitting their stride. And then unfortunately, when they finally hit their stride, we switch to the grown-up actors in the fourth one, and we have to start all over because they're not great, but by the end of it, they get better. And that's what the rating system is gonna be for, because, you know, we're gonna see who wins each book, and at the end, whoever has the most wins, I'm gonna claim is the definitive way to listen to the Harry Potter books. It may be the full cast, it may be Jim Dale, it may be Stephen Fry. Jim Dale does a lot more voices than Stephen Fry, but one of the complaints that I was having for Jim Dale was a lot of his background characters sound exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether they're a kid, a woman, a man, they just sound the same. One of the biggest things that it takes me out of listening to the series with Stephen Fry is his pronunciations of a lot of the words, because Jim Dale's pronunciation of a lot of the words are kind of what we use in the movies, so it's basically the canon pronunciations. So Stephen Fry in Goblet of Fire says Axio, where Jim Dale says Accio. Guess what we use? We use Accio. Like Sickle Nut Galleon. Sometimes it's nut, sometimes it's canut. It depends on who's reading it. But Jim Dale even says some weird stuff, like occasionally he'll say Slytherin, like it's a nectarine rather than Slytherin. But sometimes it's kind of fun the way he reads things. Like the first time he talks about Albus Dumbledore, he pronounces it Albus Dumbledore rather than Albus Dumbledore. But later in the series, he pronounces it Dumbledore. There's also like the whole funny like anecdote story about Jim Dale where he could not for the life of him on first run through say pocketed it, because Harry is constantly taking in his wand and pocketed it. And he went to J.K. Rowling and complained and said, "Hey, can you say put in his pocket?" And she goes, "No." And this is after like the third book. He went to her and said, "You keep using the phrase pocketed it, and it's really hard to say. So could you change it to put in pocket?" And J.K. Rowling said, "No, I like the phrase pocketed it." And she added it like a lot of times in the fourth one. So if you ever notice when you're listening or reading the fourth book and you see that it says pocketed it a lot, that is why. Besides Hermione, Jim Dale's other female characters all sound over 50 years old, or Jim Dale saying garage. Well, that's just British. Garage and garage, like, I get past that. The one thing that I did laugh at when I was listening to it yesterday is at one point he says library rather than library, and it kind of made me laugh, and I just kept saying library like I was French. Like, "Oh, welcome to the library." I also, one thing that I do anytime they say a letter, because he pronounces the T's in letter, and rather than saying letter, um, is the first time when Dumbledore says I wrote them a letter. And then McGonagall goes, a letter? You expect them to get all that information from a letter? And it's just funny. I just like the way that he basically makes Dumbledore kind of seem like, oh yeah, I have faith in everybody. I wrote them a letter. It'll explain it all. It just captures kind of the personality of Dumbledore in that little scene, which is what I like. And I've talked about it earlier in this video, but another line that I just think is really funny with the Gemdale Sorcerer's Stone is nearly headless. How can he be nearly headless? Because it just doesn't make sense on why he is pronouncing it and reading it that way. Because Seamus never talks like that the rest of the series. It's just that one little scene that he says it that way. In Prisoner of Azkaban, when they see the firebolt, it always throws me off because it sounds like he does a voice for what's supposed to be a kid. Because it starts out like, it's the fastest in the world, isn't it, Dad? But the way that he says it, it sounds like an older woman going, it's the fastest in the world, isn't it, Dad? And it throws me off every time because when he says, isn't it, Dad? And I'm like, okay, maybe it's an older child, and it says swinging from his father's arm, and it's like, how old is this kid? What I do remember is, so this is gonna age me. I had the Order of the Phoenix cassette tapes, and I remember listening to those, and I would fall asleep to those. Just Order of the Phoenix back over and over again. But I also got the Half-Blood Prince CDs, and I eventually, like, ripped them to put on my iPod, and that was before you could change the category of the song to audiobook, and it put it in a different category. That was an update later, which was the greatest thing in the world because it took it out of my regular library, because the amount of times that I woke up in the middle of the night, for some reason it was always the same track, because I noticed sometimes the iPod, it shuffled, but if you started at the same song, it would always shuffle in the same order. Um, Nothing's ever really truly random with computers. But it would shuffle, and I would get woken up in the middle of the night with the flashback of the Ministry Wizard going to see the Gaunts, and the track would always start with the Ministry Wizard going, "Protect yourself against what, my good sir?" And it always makes me laugh when I get to that point now, because all I can think about is waking up in the middle of the night of some guy going, "Protect yourself against what?" Every night. Just constantly. Because I would just go to the first song and I would hit that and I would hit shuffle. Um, but yeah, the random memories that I have. Like, I have a semi-photographic memory, and it's really, like, I'll have certain smells that'll bring back memories, like vivid triggers. Like, so if I smell a certain smell, it'll immediately take me sometimes. Sometimes certain smells will trigger memories, but I'm not sure what the memories are. But sounds do the same thing. And like, I'll listen to an audiobook, and sometimes I'll get to a certain part and it'll take me to a previous time that I had listened to that part, and I'll be like, "Oh, I remember the last time I listened to this part, and I remember listening to this part, I was doing this." Um, I was listening to this YouTube video, Harry Potter Sleep Stories, and it was read by AI, so this one part, it says, "Nearly headless Nick walked up, cracked me up." Yeah, I've actually thought about doing, like, some sort of long form Harry Potter bedtime stories, basically, where I just sit there and read, like, I write my own, like, here's the history of Harry Potter through the timeline. So in this time we do this. But I don't know if I wanna show my face on that one or I want it to be faceless, but I'm not sure how like, the amount of pictures that I'd have to pull, and I wanna make sure I pull proper pictures. And honestly, I don't like the way AI reads certain things. I fall into it on TikTok where I'll sit there and be watching a video because it somehow just scratches the monkey part of my brain, and I'm just like, "I'm watching this," and then, like, I realize, "This is an AI telling this. Oh, I really need to stop watching this AI brain rot slop," but, you know, because I know these Reddit confessions, if they are even real, are never gonna have a resolution to these stories because you'll sit there and watch these AI read Reddit confession videos. No, I get nearly headless Nick walked up because he's a ghost. He doesn't walk, he floats. But these AI um Reddit confession videos, they're like, subscribe and follow for part 2. And then you go to like the actual page and every single thing is a part 1 and there's never a part 2. And it just drives me mad, and I will sit there and fall for it every single time, and it just scratches that itch in my monkey brain of, "Ooh, this is interesting." I understand why there's channels that literally just run podcast of them reading Reddit threads. It's like sitting around the water cooler getting hot goss, like, "Spill the tea for me." Like, everybody loves drama, and it's not negative, like, it's not trashing people, like, the "Am I the asshole?" threads, like, those just scratch some sort of, like, itch in the back of my head, and I'm like, "I don't really wanna I don't wanna read these, I don't wanna listen to these." Uh, no, like, nearly headless pause. Oh, gotcha. So it's like, nearly headless, Nick walked up. Gotcha. I mean, I get that it would be funny, especially if you were, like, getting ready to fall asleep and all of a sudden, like, there's a comma in the middle of that, but most likely, if it's an AI made video, nobody actually proofread this script and just said, "Hey, AI, make this script. I need a 15-minute video of reading this." So, I don't know. Apparently, there's a whole controversy online right now that Hank Green is admitted on some channel that he is addicted to AI. So I can't find it. All I can find is people talking about it. I subscribe to Hank Green and I don't see anything about him talking about his addiction. So I'm not sure if it's just something that somebody like wrote an article about or something and now it's just kind of blown up, but he hasn't actually addressed it. I don't really know. He's also said he's taking a break, but I feel like on his YouTube channel, he would say, "Hey, post a video saying I'm taking a break." And that hasn't popped up. But I don't know. I get the draw of AI, but also at the same time, like when I first started my channel, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do scripts, and I did have AI write some of my scripts, and I read directly off of it, and I was like, yeah, this is great. Like I would go through and I would critique, I would say, hey, this is my idea, these are my notes. Can you write me a script? And then I would go through and be like, take out that line, add this, and I would change it myself. But when I realized, because I work with my hands in a cooler where I have to wear gloves, so being able to do the chat feature and have someone else type it up for me and basically write what I want, go through and I critique all of the stuff about it, but it still has that AI like touch to it. And I was just like, this feels grody. So I stopped and I went back to my outline format. Because the first couple videos I did, I literally just, here's my idea, I talk about it. And then I went back to more of an outline format. And now I'm just getting better at sitting in front of a camera, back to my normal, where it's like, hey, here's the topic, talk about it for 20 minutes. And that's kind of what this stream is. I've just been talking for, I don't even know how long, an hour and a half. So I really actually do not know how long I have been streaming. Yeah, about an hour and a half. But hey, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just sit here and talk and have conversations with you guys, see what you guys were, how you were feeling. My channel's just kind of been a little bit static, and it's plateaued. Like, I've been floating around 140 1945 to 1950 for a month now. The other day I lost 4 subscribers in one day, but I've gotten like 3 of them back. It's weird. Like, I assume there are people who are coming across my channel who were previously subscribers years ago, because when I first started, I got up to like 400 subscribers, and I've been gaining more than I've been losing, so it hasn't been anything that I've noticed, but recently I've kind of stagnated and I've noticed subscriber loss. But I haven't been losing subscribers because it's like, oh, you're a horrible person, here's YouTube drama. But hopefully I never have to do one of those, this is my apology video for, I said some horrible things, like, or I did some horrible things, I sent inappropriate messages. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I just want to have conversations with people who have the same kind of ideals as me, and let's hang out, have fun, have conversations about Harry Potter. We can talk about Marvel, Dungeon Crawler Carl, Lord of the Rings. Um, they're doing a third season of Rings of Power. I still need to finish season 2. Um, you know, get into D&D. I just bought the D&D 5.5e starter kit, which has a bunch of shit in it, and but if we get enough members, we can maybe start a D&D group, and we can do that on live stream. And, we can even play Jackbox games. I think there's a way to do like a Jackbox where you make your own stuff. And if I can figure out how to do that, I'll do it. And we can do a Harry Potter Jackbox. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I just want to have fun. Like, hang out, just kind of chat. I know they were looking at doing, there's a D&D Jackbox like game that they were supposed to release, but I think it's now been postponed to like Christmas. So we'll see. If that ever comes out, that could be something we can do on stream. Because unfortunately, doing long Hogwarts Legacy streams is counterintuitive to the channel itself. So yeah. I'm hopefully going to stream another time this month. If not, it will be September 1st. I don't really want to just stream once a month. I do want to stream kind of twice a month, if not 3, depending on how many weeks are in the month. That's how things work. I did a lot of my July streams right at the beginning of the month because I was home from work by myself. So, yeah, my biggest problem with AI lies in how unrealistic and inaccurate it is. I would love to be in a D&D game. Yeah, I mean, I think we're about to go into a renaissance period with AI. Like, I think AI is going to push people to start making their own art physically, like learning how to make art. I know I saw this whole thing that AI is going to push people to theater and sports games. Because now when you scroll through TikTok, it's like, I don't know if this video is real or not. Like, it was already one of those things that I would sit there and watch and I would question. It's like these people being the most horrible people in the world at like stores and stuff. And I'm like, is this real or is this like staged? Because I can't imagine Um, I can't imagine people being this horrible, which I guess people can be that horrible, like, but yeah. Um, if we can get a good group in our Discord of members, I would absolutely love to play like even the Kids on Brooms version of D&D where it's very much a Harry Potter theme because I do have ideas for that. Um, how come Hogwarts Legacy gameplay stream is counterproductive to your channel? I don't understand how YouTube algorithm works. Random girl, I am a Ravenclaw. Here's my scarf. If you couldn't tell by just my being able to talk about just anything, it's counterproductive to the channel because I am not a gaming channel. Like, yes, it's Harry Potter, but because it's more of a gaming concept, people who are looking for Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy gameplay aren't the same people who are looking at Percy Jackson reviews. And so I was doing long Hogwarts Legacy streams while talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl and Percy Jackson, as well as Harry Potter. But yes, Harry Potter is the linking side for both of those, but they are two very different sides of the connection of Harry Potter that I think it just kind of plateaued my channel because it would show the Percy Jackson stuff to the people who liked Hogwarts Legacy. They're not going to watch that. It would show my Dungeon Crawler Carl stuff to people who like Percy Jackson, but not Dungeon Crawler Carl, and they're not going to watch that. So I just was going to too many different niches at once, and I think it just kind of YouTube had no idea where it was supposed to be showing videos to, so now nobody's watching my stuff because it's just like, hey, look, we've showed it to people and it's not going anywhere, and so I figured I'm going to do just let's talk about Harry Potter stream, and we're gonna see where it goes from there. So that's what this is. This is me just sitting here for 2 hours talking about Harry Potter to you guys, and more than just Harry Potter, but like it's algorithm wise, it's talking about Harry Potter. Um, and hopefully this will help kind of reset who it shows things to because you guys are getting involved and you guys clearly want to talk about Harry Potter, and that will help reset. That's why the wording is the way it is. It's hopefully to reset my algorithm to go to the people who just want to watch videos talking about Harry Potter. Like, because most of my viewers also watch Harry Potter Theory, also watch Super Carlin Brothers, also watch Brett's Thoughts. And it's just one of those things that, hey, we're watching these. Oh, also Movie Flame. That's the other one. But Movie Flame's been doing it for so long that he's kind of stretched out to where he can get away with like, hey, I'm going to talk about Hunger Games. I'm going to talk about Percy Jackson. I'm going to talk about Harry Potter and not have to worry about, oh, because I talked about this and didn't talk about that. Because he's kind of set his niche is set. I'm a fairly new YouTuber comparatively. So if I change a little bit of my niche because I don't have a huge subscriber base, it really kind of will kill where my video goes out to. Okay. Thanks for the explanation. Although I love Hogwarts Legacy. I do too. I was having fun. I'm just trying to reset it and I can then go back to Hogwarts Legacy and do stuff, especially if they announce Hogwarts Legacy 2 coming up in September. Because if they announce that, people are going to have a little bit of a renewed interest into the story of Hogwarts Legacy. And so then if I'm playing through Hogwarts Legacy, people will come in and they'll watch it and they'll just be excited about Harry Potter in general. And that's kind of the whole hope and wish, is that hopefully after September, people will be more interested in Harry Potter. The audiobooks, the full cast audiobooks did help me greatly in the fact that people were watching those videos. I was getting thousands of views per video, which isn't a lot, but it's a good start. Like, I hate talking about money, but in the past 4 months, I haven't even made $100 on YouTube at all. Like, I haven't hit that $100 benchmark in 4 months. That's how slow it's been, and I know it's summer, views kinda drop down in the summer anyway. This time last year, I thought about giving up on trying to even try to get monetized and just fully giving up on YouTube. Um, so yeah, no problem. I totally understand you want to reset the algorithm. Anything to do with Harry Potter is cool with me. Yeah, and I think it's a mix of it's summer. I was trying new things at the wrong time because, you know, not as many people are into Harry Potter, and also J.K. Rowling being J.K. Rowling this summer and kind of, you know, being very vocal about her beliefs, people re-boycotting her again. It kind of hurt the community altogether because more people are boycotting anything to do with Harry Potter, even though, if you support a content creator, then you're not supporting the artist. It's weird. And I understand some people feel icky creating content about Harry Potter with that idea, but honestly, if we run away from even people who support it, like, it's this whole thing, like, the left and the right, we're two separate things. We need to stop being left versus right. We need to start being more top versus bottom because, us as a people are all the same. We're being manipulated and used by the top 1% who are making more money now than they ever have been, while we're making the same, if not less. Like, so at my job, they split my department. So it was technically 2 departments put into one. They just recently split it. And they're like, hey, so since we split this department, we're actually going to give your department more responsibility. And I said, cool. So now that there's only 2 people in our department, are you going to give us more employees so we can do these new responsibilities that you expect from us? And they go, no, we're not hiring any more people. Why would we hire more people? We're just giving you more responsibility. And it's like, I'm barely doing what you want from me now, and you expect me to do more. Okay. How's that work? Are you paying me more? No? So you're not hiring more people. You're not paying me more stuff, but you're expecting me to do more work, right? Yes? Okay. Cool. I'm not doing it. Because right now, the other person in my department is on leave of absence until the end of the month. So it's just me in my department with my manager. Um, and then they come to me and say, hey, you need to do this, 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 and this. And I'm like, you gonna help me? No. We got to go be pulled over here because they don't have enough workers either. And it's like, okay, how do you expect me to do all this? I'm still doing the same stuff that I used to do every day. Haha, yes. More democratic socialism talk. It all leads back to that. I mean, even in Harry Potter, the Ministry of Magic is very much a socialist government. Guess what they don't pay for? Healthcare. You know what they pay for? You know what makes them poor? Is the fact that, they get paid less because they pay for luxuries. If you don't have money, you don't pay for luxuries. If you have money, you can afford luxuries. But the one thing that the Weasleys, who are poor, never have to pay for? Healthcare and food. Even Ron says he had 3 square meals a day. I know a lot of people who can barely afford to put clothes on their back. They're not having 3 square meals a day. And they're definitely not getting health care. So, the Harry Potter books are very much pro-socialism. Not a full socialist society, but a socialism reform, because they have free healthcare. They're able to afford food because it's a basic necessity, and they are if you have money, you can buy more luxurious things like broomsticks. Flu powder is the same price as a Costco hot dog. Hasn't changed ever. They don't increase. It's illegal in the wizarding world to change the price of flu powder. Also, part of the reason is because the inventor of flu powder is keeping the recipe secret, so they can't raise the price because he's the only one who knows it. So, honestly, though, he's very pro-socialism, because if he was very pro-capitalism, since he's the only one who knows how to make flu powder, he could charge out the wazoo for it and make it a luxury travel. But he wants everybody to have flu powder in their home. There's a whole flu network controlled by the government, but they don't have control over flu powder. That is flu powder power, baby. That's a Harry Potter musical. A Harry Potter musical reference. Flu powder power. But anyway, what are your thoughts on if I were to do reviews of Harry Potter fan fiction? Because I watched a video where a guy was recommending like some Harry Potter fan fiction. One of them being the fan fiction that turned into what is now Alchemized, which I kind of refuse to read because I feel like Hermione fan fiction is kind of toxic. I really don't like any of the like almost implied rape stories. It's just, why? Why do we have those? Like, there's that whole Lights Out series, and I've heard, oh, it's a great series, but then when I look into it, I'm like, why are people into this? Why is this something that people want to read? Like, that's why I try to stay away from romantasy. I do like a little bit of romantasy. Like, Sarah J. Maas is not as spicy as the internet makes fun of. Like, it really isn't that spicy. Fourth Wing is spicier, and even that's not that spicy. And that's what I also want to try to avoid. I know there's a lot of just spicy fan fiction for Harry Potter. I don't really like fan fiction, but I'll still watch whatever your thoughts are on them. I'm dyslexic. Your thoughts on them are. The sentence still works, but I mean, if you guys are interested, but I don't know. Like, I haven't started. I have, I think, 3 different fan fictions that I've looked. Oh, no, discussing other people's fanfics, like talking about it and reviewing it and, talking about, is it worth the read? Is it not worth the read? Don't ask me for fanfic. The closest thing I'm coming to fanfic stuff is, if you saw some of my shorts that I did, little like how I would imagine this happening in the series. I'm also rebooting that eventually. I'm waiting for my algorithm to kind of reset. And then I'm gonna post redone one of those. I'm gonna get rid of those and post new ones. Because I have a ton of ideas. I just came up with another one about a conversation that Harry and Hagrid would have after the Battle of Hogwarts, about Harry telling Hagrid the fact that he rode a Ukrainian Iron Belly, because Hagrid would freaking love to hear that story that Harry got to ride a freaking dragon. Like, that's the closest thing that I'm going to have. It's going to be little 2-minute sections that kind of bridge the gap, more of like a headcanon kind of thing. than a fan fiction, which what is fan fiction but maybe a headcanon that's longer than the book series itself? Because a lot of these fan fictions, holy crap, they are long. Like, that was one of the things they were talking about, is like one of the fan fiction books that was recommended in this series that I looked at was longer than the Harry Potter series total. Like, word count wise, there were more words in this one fan fiction book than there was in the whole series, which is a little bit weird. Like, that's a lot. Like, the biggest fan, there's two fan fictions that if I were to write a fan fiction, it would be a story about a long lost descendant of Isolde Sire in Ilvermorny and finding secrets within Ilvermorny, because Isolde Sire had a child who was a nomage who went to who moved in, or who married in with a Native American tribe of nomages as well. So just having a lineage where it kind of proves that not nomage, squibs, they married, two squibs married together, and had a non-magic child, but it kind of would build a whole, like, the headcanon that muggle-born kids may actually be descendants of squib children at some point, but having this, some Harry Potter sleep stories are good. I'd love stories on Ilvermorny, which there's not a lot of. Like, it would be a series that I would love to see. I don't know if I'd be the one who should write it, because number one, it would be about a Native American, like, person, probably of some northern First Peoples. I don't know what they're called anymore. They've changed what they like to be called. I still go with Native American. I know they sometimes like being called First People. Um, but having a female protagonist from a First People Native American tribe who finds out she's magic, gets invited to Ilvermorny. When she comes into Ilvermorny, she has the dream about the horned serpent. She is a parcel tongue because she is a descendant of Salazar Slytherin in a very long way, but is able to basically, like, unlock Salazar Slytherin's wand that is in the base of the tree that is out in front of Ilvermorny, because it's a snakewood tree, and it grew out of Salazar Slytherin's wand that Isolde Sire buried in front of the Ilvermorny castle. But have some sort of story where this girl finds this wand and, is trying to figure out who she is, because now she's like, clearly I have some connection with this person, and maybe even, like, later on goes to Hogwarts to find out more about Salazar Slytherin. And, I think it would make for a good story. Like, even if you put it, like, before Harry Potter and she somehow meets Voldemort, which I think is kind of a cop out to have, oh, look, it's an heir of Slytherin, and, she's trying to find out her past, and she learns from Tom Riddle about what it is to be a Slytherin, because he himself is the heir of Slytherin as well. Because the only thing that I could think of is the proper way to finish that interaction would be Tom Riddle would murder her, because he doesn't care about family. So maybe having it come after, and, there being some sort of anti-Slytherin, I don't know. See, this is why I shouldn't write it. I don't know who the villain would be, like, or the antagonist, but I have stood firmly on, if this story was to be told, it would be a Native American female as the protagonist going to Ilvermorny, finding out that she is the heir of Slytherin in Ilvermorny. and being the one who is able to unlock Salazar Slytherin's wand, which has been long dormant for 500-600 years. Because I think it took place in the 1400s, maybe 1700s, so like 200-300 years. The other story that if I were to make a fan fiction would be a rewrite of the Cursed Child, not following some weird love child between Voldemort and Bellatrix Lestrange, but who the real Cursed Child would be, which is Teddy Lupin, the boy who has been orphaned due to the exploits of Lord Voldemort, but the fact that yes, he is the son of two heroes and the godson of the Chosen One, but is also a son of a werewolf. And having that weight upon him because people are afraid that is Teddy Lupin a werewolf, because he is the son of a werewolf when he hits puberty as he comes of age. For sleep stories, I recommend Dozing Dragons Harry Potter stories. Is that an AI one or is that actual someone reading it? But Teddy Lupin being the son of a werewolf, and maybe, them being worried that when he hits puberty after his like first or second year at Hogwarts, that he would end up turning into a werewolf. And the fact that he's a metamorph magi may actually make it even weirder, because maybe he can actually turn into a werewolf at will. And even if we could do that where he could turn into a werewolf at will, what benefits would that hold? Let's see. I'm trying to write a fanfic that is a rewrite of the Hogwarts Legacy story. No, he writes his own and reads them. Oh, interesting. So he basically writes fan fiction and then reads them for like basically reads an audiobook kind of thing. That's kind of cool. Maybe that's something I need to do. I might have to make my own like a whole separate channel for that, just for algorithm purposes. But like Teddy Lou, like the problem that I have with this story too, any story that I've come up with, I have a problem trying to build an antagonist. I would actually love to read about Teddy Lupin growing up. Like, would he live with Harry and his kids? I think later on, I think he grows up with Andromeda, because Harry's a little bit too young to probably be taking care of a 1-year-old. So I think he stays with Andromeda. I mean, the way that I like have thought about starting the story is just the fact of Harry knocking on Andromeda Black's or Andromeda Lupin's, not Andromeda Lupin, Andromeda Tonk's, her door. She opens up the door and Harry jumps a little bit, just and then has to apologize. And she calls him out for the fact that it's like, it's been 11 years, Harry. Could you stop doing that? And he goes, I know. It's just, you look so much like your sister. And that's the first interaction in the story is that. And then you have Harry walking in on Teddy, looking in the mirror, trying to change his face because he is a metamorph magi, and just trying to change his face and just, having fun with it, but just being stressed out because it's very hard for him to do. And Harry just, being like, listen, your mom was fantastic at it and it took her a while. It may take you a little bit longer because, you were also your father's son. And I don't know. I think it's good. I think it starts out good, but I just don't know where to go and what the antagonist. Would it be a group of wizards who are trying to hunt down and eradicate the offspring of Fenris Greyback? Like, just after the Wizarding War, all the damage that Fenrir did, like, hey, we're going to eradicate werewolves because the Ministry clearly isn't going to do anything. And of course, you're going to have Hermione butting heads, because I still stand by the fact that Hermione, after the Wizarding War, would have gotten involved in the Ministry, but in the Magical Creatures division, trying to make sure that elves and goblins got rights. Because, of course, there would probably be a goblin rebellion after the Wizarding War, just based on the fact that Voldemort literally decimated the Gringotts goblins. Like, there's so much ramifications that should have happened after the Battle of Hogwarts that we never, ever talk about. Like, Voldemort destroyed the goblins of Gringotts, and we don't know what happens. I also don't think Harry may have joined the Ministry as an Auror to maybe, like, help with that situation, to quell the Wizarding War. Gonna go to sleep, gonna listen to Prisoner of Azkaban full cast. Have a good night. Enjoy. Um, Harry probably would have joined the Aurors to, like, help clean up the mess and finish hunting down the Death Eaters. But I do feel like after all the Death Eaters were hunted down and everybody was kind of like, the Wizarding World was back at peace, he would go for a quiet life. Like, he had a very strenuous childhood. I'm pretty sure he would go for a quiet life and become a professor of Defense Against the Dark Arts at Hogwarts and just keep that role. Like, you can keep Neville as a herbology professor. That makes sense. But Harry as the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor makes even more sense. Not the headmaster. He would be under Professor McGonagall, But Harry as Defense Against the Dark Arts professor is the only thing that makes sense for his character. And following the footsteps of his third father figure, Lupin. He's done the other two. He's followed James and Mary and the redhead. He's followed Sirius as in being a dangerous godfather and not almost getting himself killed, getting himself killed. And now it's time to follow Lupin and become a Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. I think that's the way it should. And maybe he has to be pulled out of retirement of being an Auror to go hunt down goblins. I don't know. Or the werewolf hunters. Like, I feel like that would be the way that we would do it, is because they find out that Lupin had been turned by Greyback, and now you have Teddy, who is also technically a progeny of Greyback, being the son of a werewolf who was turned by Greyback, and maybe be able to turn at will. I don't know. It's one of those things that is weird when it comes to werewolf lore. Like, you have pure-blooded werewolves that can turn at will, but that might just be supernatural lore. I don't know if that's entirely werewolf lore. I don't know that much about werewolves. So, yeah. All right. Well, what do you guys have? You guys have any suggestions on video topics I should talk about? Any theories that you're interested in that you've seen? I don't know. Throw them at me. I could so see Harry as a Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, what was the one thing he enjoyed? Like, the one thing that brought back his love of Hogwarts. Because that's the thing, even in book 7, he just talks about how much he missed Hogwarts. And, his favorite thing in the 5th book, the only thing that really kept him going was the DA. So, and then you have that scene in the books at the end when he feels like he has lost all hope and he's about to get kissed by a Dementor. And then what happens? In the movie, Aberforth Dumbledore comes in to save the day. But in the books, you have Luna, Seamus, and Dean? I don't remember who the third one is. But you have 3 members of the DA who come in to do Patronus and save the day, basically revitalizing his hope and making him realize, hey, I can't do this by myself, but I taught them how to do this, and because I taught them how to do this, they've given me hope. I saw a video the other day about the idea that he eventually becomes headmaster. I mean, I don't hate him becoming headmaster, but I think the only reason I honestly I really don't know why J.K. Rowling literally just was like, I'm going to make an epilogue and he's going to work for the ministry. Why would he work for the man? He would definitely, like, as much as he tried to be different from Voldemort, he was very much the same person. But instead of being turned away by the headmaster to become the Defense Against Dark Arts professor, Harry doesn't get turned away and becomes the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. And gets to stay as the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. And yeah, at that point, maybe he would become the headmaster, but I don't think he wants to have that leadership position. But I don't think Dumbledore wanted to have the leadership position. That's why he even says he felt like he didn't want to have power because he was afraid that the power would corrupt him. Because just the idea of the Deathly Hallows basically turned him into a villain. Like, he was willing to subjugate the non-magical community because he thought he was more powerful than them. But, he felt because he was corrupted by power, he was not allowed to hold power. Where Voldemort wanted the power and was already, wanted the corruption, and he never pursued that kind of power because he didn't need to. I mean, they even made that comment, is like, Voldemort doesn't need to be the wizard minister for magic. Why would he need to sit behind a desk? He can do whatever he wants because he has his lackeys controlling everything for him. I mean, there's also that whole theory of, like, why didn't Voldemort use the unforgivable curse? I think we have the unforgivable curse wrong. I think the unforgivable curse, if you break it, both parties die. I think that's why they don't. Or if either one can break it, I guess it depends on how you do it. Like, hey, are you always going to be loyal to Lord Voldemort? But I think if it's broken, both parties die. That's why it's unbreakable. It's kind of the magically binding contract of the Goblet of Fire. If you do not legitimately compete, you die. Which seems a bit extreme. And it's like, okay, you're trying to change these rules to make sure people don't die, but why are you binding them to a contract where they could die? Harry should try and play pro Quidditch, then teach at Hogwarts in his retirement. I mean, yeah, I think he would be a good pro Quidditch player, or he would just take over for Madam Hooch. Like, listen, I'll be the PE coach that also teaches history, kind of thing. Like, you don't have a history teacher, okay, I'll be the PE coach that teaches history. Like, I mean, that would be a nice life for him. I mean, his wife became a professional Quidditch player. She played for the Holyhead Harpies. So, it stands to reason that he also would, go play for, I would say, Ireland. What do you think he would play? He was good enough. I think he could probably play for more than Puddlemere. But I'm not really sure. Is the Quidditch World Cup like the Premier League, or is it more like the FIFA World Cup where it's like, okay, it doesn't matter what team you're on in other countries, you'll be the Irish team, you'll be the Bulgarian team. You're not, it's like the best of everybody in the league for that country will go. I don't know. I don't know how soccer works, so I don't really know how Quidditch leagues work. Like, is someone from Ireland, like, are the 7 members of the team on Ireland, are they from different teams? Like, is one of them from Puddlemere, one of them from Chudley Cannons? I don't think any of them are from Chudley Cannons, because Chudley Cannons is the worst in the league. But I think they're 12th. There's 12 teams in the British League. I just don't think it's reasonable for him to become a professor at 18. He needs to do something first. Well, yeah, I was talking about him. Maybe he would probably still become an Auror. They would rush him through training, and he would probably help hunt. Like, just him with his conscience would probably want to hunt down the remaining Death Eaters, because he knows who all the Death Eaters are, at least the original from the graveyard. He would probably help hunt them down, especially after they killed a lot of his friends and family. Like, apparently Neville Longbottom became an Auror as well, according to the Battle at the Ministry ride. Like, there's 3 lockers. There's Harry, Ron, and Neville, which I think we heard in canon that Ron does become an Auror and then eventually retires to help George run Weasley Wizard Wheezes. And then, but we never hear that Neville also becomes an Auror before he goes and works at Hogwarts. We just know Neville goes and works at Hogwarts, and Harry just becomes an Auror, which I don't see that as a problem. I assume Harry would work with the Ministry to try to restructure and bring peace to the Wizarding world, because, I mean, I think there would be a Goblin Rebellion. I think, there's giants now in Britain that we have to try to take care of because Voldemort got them to come and destroy Britain. You also probably have a bit of a werewolf problem, which is why I said in my headcanon fan fiction of Teddy Lupin that there would probably be some sort of group of werewolf hunters who were trying to, eradicate the werewolves in Britain. But yeah, Harry being an Auror does make sense, but for the long term, I think he would have retired once all of the Death Eaters had been imprisoned. Granted, I don't really see the Ministry of Magic ride at Epic Universe as canon, with the fact that why are the Death Eaters rallying behind Dolores Umbridge, and why is Dolores Umbridge trying to use a time turner to go back to the time of Voldemort? Because I don't think, and this is going to sound really weird, Dolores Umbridge was not a Death Eater, as fun as it would be to imagine her as one. Dolores Umbridge thought she was a good person. A dark wizard cannot perform a Patronus. Dolores Umbridge, as evil as she is, was not a dark wizard because she could still perform a Patronus. Patroni are not able to be performed by dark wizards. Voldemort could not produce a Patronus. Dark magic is counteracted with the Patronus. So if you perform dark magic, you're probably not going to be able to perform a Patronus because you are not pure of heart. I'm not saying Dolores Umbridge is pure of heart. She is still a bad person, but the difference between Voldemort being a bad person and her being a bad person is Dolores Umbridge doesn't think It doesn't think she's a bad person. She thinks she is doing good for the ministry. She thinks what she is doing is right. She probably did turn a blind eye to the fact that, the ministry policy changes have drastically changed and are very suspicious, but, they work out in my favor, so I will remain loyal to the ministry. And then after the fact, she's like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. They just gave me orders and I was just following them, sir. All right, well, that's not a good enough memory. Or that's not a good enough reason. What happy memories would Umbridge even have, though? She must have some. I think she did have a decent home life. I think she did have a lost love, if I remember correctly, from the Wizarding Archive books. Uh, Dolores Umbridge found love, but I think it was unrequited. She loved cats. Maybe she had a happy memory with one of her cats as a kitten. That's a happy memory for me when I got my kittens. But I don't know. She is a bad person, but she is a misguided bad person. Yeah, she is unintentionally evil because she thinks what she is doing is for good. Whereas Voldemort is extremely evil in the fact that he knows what he's doing is wrong and he does not care. He finds joy in causing pain in others. Umbridge does kind of as well, I guess. It's tricky because Umbridge definitely, I think, is credited with the creation of the quill that Harry uses that inscribes it onto his wrist or the back of his hand. For her, a happy memory would probably be Harry's "I must not tell lies" scar. I mean, Harry wore that as a badge of honor. That is for sure. Tanner, which HBO season needs to be better than the movie adaptation the most? Probably season 1. I mean, I think season 1, 2, and even 3 need to be closer to the books than 4, 5, 6, and 7. 4, 5, 6, and 7, if they are close to the books at all, they're going to be better than the movies. The movies for 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not good adaptations. The only reason I think they did so well is because the first 2 movies by Chris Columbus were the most accurate and were able to capture the magic of Harry Potter. I think if Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets did not capture the magic of Harry Potter, then the rest of the movies would not have done as well. Because at that point, after the third one did kind of start to change things, but it set the art style and tone. The darker tone, the Mina Lima art style, because they got away from Chris Columbus, but, Alfonso Cuarón, yes, he kind of wanted to completely change the entire series and get it away from what the actual book had. I know there's an anecdotal joke that he came in and said, "We need a sex scene." I don't think he actually meant that, but he wanted a darker tone. He wanted the kids to be more comfortable and run around in street clothes, but the magic of the first 2, and you can clearly tell just in the spell work between Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban, the spell work is very different. Like, the way the spells are cast are different. David Yates took more from Alfonso Cuarón than Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus really kind of just set up the world that brought all the people in. It's like a YouTube video. A lot of like YouTube gurus, they say, listen, the first 30 seconds is your hook. That is the first half hour of the movie to the point that you get to Diagon Alley and you see magic for the first time. Then the most important part are the first 5 minutes of the video. Make sure they are tightly edited. And then after that, it doesn't matter what the hell you do, because if somebody stays longer than 5 minutes into your video, they're going to stay for the whole video, is at least what the YouTube gurus say. I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of the series. The first half of the Sorcerer's Stone, that was the hook. The first two movies was the tightly edited build up of showing this is the Harry Potter series, and then you created a new tone after that, and people were already so invested in the first two movies that they just kept going. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff missing from especially the fourth movie onward that they just took out. But part of that too is there's stuff that was removed from the third movie, which led into the fact that Spew doesn't exist. Because let's see, how does Harry using magic outside of school doing homework at night in the third movie make any sense? I mean, they didn't really have that. No, I get that. That is a very frustrating thing in the movie. I'm not saying the third movie is the greatest example. The first two movies are, I think, the best ones, and then they just slowly go downhill from there. But the third one still follows the story for the most part, but it takes out a lot of my favorite parts. It adds stuff like that. Like, hey, Harry's doing work by wand light, even though in the books it's like he just uses a flashlight. I understand you want to have magic, but he doesn't need that. But the whole spew part of it, or SPEW for those who are, more correct, um, really starts in the third book with Hermione doing all the research for Buckbeak's trial. Well, in the movies, we don't follow any of that. It's just, hey, Buckbeak sentenced to death. Here's the day that he's being sentenced to death, and you're going to save him. Like, it doesn't have the whole storyline of, wow, Hermione is suffering with her classes, which, by the way, don't make any sense. And I want to do a video about it eventually, about the fact that the schedule shouldn't work the way it does, because if anybody takes divination and arithmancy beside her, they should also need a time turner. Because what do you mean everybody who signed up for divination didn't sign up for ancient runes or arithmancy or whatever the class is that Hermione is taking at the same time? The other problem that I have is when it comes to her exams, it's not just her extracurricular exams that are at a 9 o'clock time slot. She also is having the mandatorily required classes such as charms as one of the tests that she has to take at 9 a.m. next to divinations. And I don't think it was divination. I think it was ancient runes and arithmancy and charms. You shouldn't have a crossover, because that means it's not just her who's having to figure out how to double sit a test. It's anybody who's in ancient runes and arithmancy, or either of those classes, and charms, which doesn't make any sense. And I understand that part of the story, like, well, but the classes shouldn't be that messed up. Did leaving out the Marauder's backstory in the movie frustrate you? Hell yeah, it did. One of my favorite reasons why I like that and Half-Blood Prince, which they completely botched in the movie, is the backstory stuff. Like, that's some of my favorite material, is just learning more about the Wizarding world outside of Harry Potter's bubble. Because it helps expand what is true and what isn't true. Like, because when you're in Harry's bubble, you're part of that unreliable narrator who, is only seeing it from his point of view. Like, the people who complain that, like, oh, McGonagall is a terrible professor because she lets certain things slide and lets other things don't. We don't fully know everything because we're seeing it from Harry's point of view. But, certain magic things have been confirmed, whether it's in the movies or other expanded material, and that's where, like, some people call out plot holes, but it's like, is it a plot hole, or is it just Harry doesn't understand how things work? And we're getting it from Harry's point of view, because it is semi-omniscient narrator. Like, yes, it's kind of Harry's like inner thoughts, but it's also a third person narrator who is semi-omniscient. What Harry knows, the narrator knows, but the narrator also knows some other things because that's how we have, different points of views throughout the book. And so this is how the series is going to change, because we're probably going to get more of like, hey, we're going to follow Dumbledore for like 15 minutes, and then we're going to probably follow Hermione by herself for 15 minutes. So having things make a little bit more sense may actually affect the story, but for the better. Because having more time to expand upon the media will help expand upon the story and maybe be able to explain the little like inconsistencies that we call out in the books, like the 24 hours that Hagrid has Harry from the point that the Voldemort attacks to the point that he gets dropped off at the Dursleys. What happened during that 24 hours? Dumbledore probably said, hey, go and hide and wait till it gets dark and then come to number 4 Privet Drive. I will send you a message with the information. Like, that makes sense to me. I didn't think he was just flying for 24 hours around in a circle and got completely lost. No, it probably was like, hey, hide. I got to get some shit together before you can bring him to the Dursleys. Like, figure out where the Dursleys are. So, I don't know. It's one of those things that I think the TV series could be very beneficial to the story as a whole. Will it live up to expectations? I hope. I mean, looking at the stuff that they've come out with so far, I think it will, but also at the same time, I don't think it's going to live up to the expectations that the internet has put on it. Like, I've talked about this before, and I talk about it a lot with like people I work with and friends and all that. I think the Star Wars sequel trilogy was ruined by YouTubers. And, you know, I cause problems too. I'm constantly going, well, these are ideas that I have for the Harry Potter series, and if, you know, those things don't happen, guess what? People who watch my videos who are like, well, I really like those ideas. All of those ideas are good. A big divot in there. Um, but those ideas are really good. I really like your ideas. If those things don't happen, are they going to be mad at me? Probably not. They're going to be mad at the TV show for not living up to their expectations. And I'm going into this with very low expectations. I'm like, listen, my expectations are it's going to be slightly better than the movies. Because, of course, the movie is 25 years old. Yes, it has aged pretty well for a 25-year-old movie, but honestly, the quality of movies have not really like improved that drastically between the late 90s to now. Yes, special effects have gotten better, but have they? Most of them have turned into CGI rather than physical effects. That's why I think the Odyssey is doing so well. That's why I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is already breaking records and it's only been in theaters for 4 days. Like, more people need to like this so far. Um I'm the only one who did. Wait, more people need to like this. So far, I'm the only one who did. Are you talking about the just like the stream? I'm not sure what you're. It's annoying how people who have only seen the movies say that they are perfect and the series is unnecessary. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people like these people who are like, "Oh man, I love the movies. We don't need a TV series." It's I think a lot of them are bookies, not bookies, movie watchers. Where the bookies, like you and I, or most of the people here, who have read the books, listened to the audiobooks, watched the movies, you know, we're like, "Hey, look, there's a lot more we can do." Like, I liked the concept behind Fantastic Beast. The like buttons. Okay. Message redacted. Retracted. Um, I like the concept behind the Fantastic Beasts series. I think the first movie did a great job until the very end when they introduced Grindelwald. I know they hinted at him throughout. Uh, yeah, I think it has 3 people have liked it, but no, I appreciate anybody who likes it. Um, thanks, guys. Uh, I think one of the biggest faults for the Fantastic Beasts series is the fact that they had to link it to the Harry Potter series. And I understand it is a Harry Potter series in the world of Harry Potter. And I think part of the reason why it didn't succeed as well as it did was because it didn't have the Harry Potter and the blah 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 blah. It was Fantastic Beast and where to find them, and then it was just Fantastic Beasts and nothing to do with Fantastic Beast, and then Fantastic Beast 3 and even more stuff that doesn't have anything to do with Fantastic Beast because it's now just a Dumbledore movie. Because clearly you guys don't care about it unless it connects to Harry Potter, and it's like, "No, I cared about it until it started to connect to Harry Potter." And the internet also destroyed that series. The internet did the same thing to the Fantastic Beasts series that they did to Star Wars. I was not a part of that. I tried to get a part of that when it did. Like, when Fantastic Beasts first came out, I tried to piece together a timeline. I built a timeline. I've lost that timeline, mind you. I have way too many Word documents, and I think it's lost. But Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I think would have done well if it left alone the original Harry Potter series and just built upon itself. Like, yes, you could have advertised it as, hey, this is a story within the Wizarding world. And I think that's where the HBO series may flourish more than the movies did. I think if Warner Brothers did that in HBO, like, hey, here's a Fantastic Beast series. This is from the world of Harry Potter. Not just a movie, it's just a whole movie, like a whole TV series. And I still think they could as a spinoff. Literally take the Fantastic Beast series and just have like a David Attenborough style, like, documentary series, anthology, like a Planet Earth, but it's Planet Wizarding World. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm not the creative person. I'm not Warner Brothers. I'm just spitting out ideas. I don't somebody else can come up with a name for it. But have a Fantastic Beast series that's like a nature documentary where it's Newt Scamander, and you can even keep Eddie Redmayne. I think he was a fantastic Newt Scamander, but him documenting it and, watching these creatures and following them and learning about them. And in it, we can learn more about his life and the whole thing. We can recast him because I feel like if you do Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander, everybody's going to associate it with the Fantastic Beasts series. So probably not the best idea for that, but I think a Fantastic Beasts spin-off for the series, just make it a documentary style where it's, you know, some new actor playing Newt Scamander traveling around the world and just observing creatures and writing it down to show like, and his whole purpose of this series is to show that magical creatures aren't dangerous, which was kind of his whole persona in the first movie was, hey, magical creatures aren't dangerous. Yes, the Obscurus can be seen as dangerous, but it's not dangerous. It just, you know, is magic that's uncontrolled. Um, do you think they will make a spin-off of the TV series for Harry Potter? I hope they do. I understand, like, I think the CEO has come out and said, "Hey, we're not focusing on spinoffs. We're just focusing on the first 2 seasons." I think they wanna get the first 2 seasons out, and then they'll expand the universe from there, because if people don't watch the first 2 seasons, why are they gonna spend money on trying to build out more shows? Because especially if they've come out and said it's not going to be an every year show. They may be recording it every year so they can keep track, but the amount of special effects that they have to do and all that, they would probably, it would take more and more time. And there's probably going to be 2 to 3 years between each season, but they may record it all at once so the child actors don't get too old. And it gets really weird that it's like Harry Potter comes out full beard at 45 years old going, "I'm Harry Potter. I've come to die." I don't know why he's all of a sudden become a Southern gentleman either, but that's just how age happens. Um, but yeah, I think they're going to try to every year record a new season, and they're just going to put it on the shelf and work on it. And with the addition of AI, unfortunately, they will probably use that to de-age the actors to the right age to make sure they stay the right age, but also, you know, maybe fix things in post kind of thing, like, "Oh, hey, we don't like this. Okay, well, we'll go back and use AI to change that little scene, like have them say something else and their mouth move properly." That's not entirely a bad thing if they do something like that, where it's like, "Hey, we need to do reshoots, but it's expensive to get these people over here. They've aged. How about we just have them do ADR in the booth, but then we can just use AI to make their lips move the right way." That would be an okay use of AI, I think. But I think after season 2, they would probably, if it's still super popular and they don't cancel it, I think they would probably start to work on spinoffs to go in between seasons. I mean, we can see that's how they're doing Game of Thrones right now. You have House of the Dragon, and they did the first 2 seasons. Okay, Game of Thrones is back to being popular. This show's pretty popular. All right, well, after the second season, we're going to come out with Knights of the Seven Kingdom. So now, in the off seasons of House of the Dragon, we're going to have Knights of the Seven Kingdom. Hey, House of the Dragon's going to be ending soon because it's only going to be 4 seasons. So we're going to need to figure out something else to put in there. Okay, well, we're working on another spin-off series. And I think that's what's going to happen is we're going to have spin-off series that are going to happen in the off season. So then the Harry Potter like news feed continues. We're going to get casting news constantly. We're going to get information constantly. And if we have, you know, at least one series a year of spin-offs, it's going to stay in the common vernacular. Probably. As long as they don't do like what Marvel did, where it's like, "Hey, we're going to put out 4 shows a year. And in between those 4 shows, we're also going to be doing movies." And if you don't watch the shows, you're not going to know what's going on in the movies. And if you don't watch the movies, well, why are you watching the shows? I think Marvel did it in a really weird way. Really, what I think Marvel should have done is you have the movies, you can introduce small side characters, such as in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Not a spoiler unless you haven't seen any of the trailers. So if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, Frank Castle, the Punisher, is in it. Do you need to watch any of the Punisher series to know who Frank Castle is? No, they kind of basically explain him pretty well in a nutshell in the movie, that which is perfect. It's like, "Hey, look, here's a character. If you want to know more about it, there's a whole series on Disney Plus that you can watch about him. But if you don't have to." They did the same thing with Charlie Cox as Daredevil and Spider-Man No Way Home. Is it's like, "Hey, if you want to know more about Daredevil. There's a whole series on Netflix/Disney Plus, and that's the way it needs to be. Just like, hey, sit back, watch the movie. If you want to know like about this, there's a show that'll explain it. You don't have to watch the show to understand and appreciate the movie. And that was kind of the problem that was going on. Is it's like, did you have to watch WandaVision to understand Multiverse of Madness? Kind of, because you're thinking, what do you mean she had children? Yeah. So you had to watch WandaVision, but apparently the people who wrote Multiverse of Madness just knew she had children, but didn't understand that at the end of that she was kind of a villain, but had a redemption arc. It was kind of weird. It didn't connect well enough to actually be, you know, part of that series. So it's just, that was the wrong way to do it. But in Spider-Man Brand New Day, they did a lot of the references pretty well on building the universe the right way. But I think that's going to be it. This was only supposed to, I was only going to do this for like an hour and a half, and we're going on 2.5 hours. So you guys rock. I appreciate all of you. If you have any quick questions, I'll stay on for like another few minutes. And I can talk about that, but I am probably going to go because it's almost 10 o'clock. I'm going to switch to my stream end screen, but I will still be in chat for a couple minutes. So, good night, guys. Stay marvelous and Knox.